Hey everybody, what's going on? This is Danelle here at Networkchain. Hope this finds you doing well. There's a lot of historic news that happened over the past week. Let's go ahead and start with the cryptocurrency market update. As you can see, Bitcoin is currently trading at $76,305 at the time of this recording. Testing 1, 2, 3. We pause for a quick station break. Bitcoin is actually now over $81,000. Could it be getting to 82,000 by the time this is also recorded? Possibly. Back to you. Ethereum has finally broken up above the $3,000 mark. It's up over 22% over the past week. Solana is nearing $200 at 20% up over the past week. You see BNB up over 8%, XRP up over 7% at 54 cents. Dogecoin now above 20 cents, up 30% over the past 7 days. Cardano breaks back into the top 10 at number 9, up over 23%, trading at 43 cents. And Tron has come down to the 10 slot, down actually 3% over the past week. And so you can see that a lot of cryptocurrencies saw a big boost over this past week, especially since Bitcoin broke all-time highs. This past week, it went over $77,000. As we look here, we had been looking to see if it was going to break out of this range that we had been in basically since March. We had hit the previous all-time high at around 73,000 in March. And since then, we have been vacillating basically between 58,000 to 70K over the last 7-8 months or so. And so now we see that Bitcoin has finally broken above that all-time high. It actually reached over 77,000. And now we're going to see if it can come back down, because at some point it is going to come back down to cool off for a moment, and see if it can stay above that all-time high and continue to go up a few legs higher as we go into the remainder of 2024. Many people are saying that there's a possibility that we could get to 6 figures by the end of the year, but I believe that we should at least get to 80,000 before the end of the year. We don't know if we'll get there or not, obviously, but the signs are showing in the chart that it's a possibility, particularly since we've had a lot of volume over this past week with Bitcoin reaching that all-time high, that people could be excited about getting into Bitcoin. It's going to be in the news a lot more, which it has been, particularly this past week. And so that could be a catalyst for more demand to come in to Bitcoin. Not only did Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies do well, but a lot of equities that are related to Bitcoin did well also. You can see MicroStrategy over the past 5 trading days had a nearly 20% jump. It is now over $270. You can see Similar Scientific, which basically has now taken on the MicroStrategy strategy in borrowing fiat currency and turning that into Bitcoin and having Bitcoin on their balance sheet. They were up over 30% over the past trading week. Coinbase up over 50%. Coinbase did a massive jump. It jumped over $90 over the past week in trading. So those holders are, I'm sure, extremely happy about the increase that it had over the past week. And the largest mining company, along with some of the other mining companies, did well. Also, you can see Mara went up over 20% over the past week. So one of the biggest news stories that came out over the past week is that the Bitcoin ETFs saw massive inflows into the various ETFs over the past week. IBIT had a day over $1.1 billion, breaking a record for the Bitcoin ETF since it launched back in January. And you can see here that the spot Bitcoin ETFs attracted record-breaking inflows of nearly $1.4 billion last Thursday, with BlackRock's IBIT collecting more than 1.1 of that total on last Thursday. And this was during the time that Bitcoin was reaching an all-time high at that time of $76,943. You saw a lot of investors continue to pour money into these IBIT funds. And you can see here as a bit of a further breakdown that, and let's see here, you can't really see, sorry that it's kind of broken up here on the side, but IBIT, you can see, did a daily flow of $1.3 billion in one day. The weekly flow for all of the Bitcoin ETFs was 1.3 billion. For the month, did $6.7 billion of inflow over the past month. And you can see here, year to date, all of the Bitcoin ETFs combined have now had a cumulative inflow of $25.5 billion into the Bitcoin ETFs, breaking records and doing much better than gold when it was first introduced, the gold ETF. And so these ETFs continue to break records, and we're not even at the end of the year yet. We still have just about 2 months left of this year to see where these Bitcoin ETFs will continue to go. And you can see us on Networkchain will continue to keep you posted on everything that's happening in the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency markets nearly every day. We appreciate you watching us here on YouTube weekly, but you can also stay tuned with what's going on in the cryptocurrency market here at Networkchain on X as well as IG. Another news story that has been gaining ground over the past week, particularly since Bitcoin has reached the all-time high, is that one of the U.S. senators has introduced a strategic Bitcoin reserve bill. She introduced it actually in July. And so we're going to see if it is something that could potentially pass the Bitcoin Act, which is known as the Boosting Innovation, Technology, and Competitiveness Through Optimized Investment Nationwide, is going to be introduced through the U.S. Senate, and it actually does have some bipartisan support, meaning that both Democrats and Republicans in the United States are showing support for the United States to potentially have a strategic Bitcoin reserve, in part to combat the over $35 trillion of debt that the United States is currently in, and also to go alongside the gold reserves that it has, as well as oil reserves that it has. So it's just another reserve, another asset that the United States could potentially hold on its balance sheet. It already has over 200,000 that it has acquired over the years, basically due to nefarious activities, and they have seized those assets. But they could actually be now considering buying Bitcoin to hold it on the reserve, particularly since people are believing that Bitcoin could potentially get from 6 figures all the way up to 7 figures, and maybe even higher over time, obviously years and years from now. Another major news story that came out just this past week as well is that Detroit becomes the first, or I should say the largest U.S. city in the United States to accept cryptocurrency payments. The Office of the Treasury of Detroit made the announcement that they will be accepting cryptocurrencies for taxes and other fees, and they will be doing this using the platform managed by PayPal. So the city leaders hope the move will attract and retain tech startups into the Motor City. So it may not actually be a good idea for you as a retail investor into Bitcoin to actually use your Bitcoin to pay for taxes and fees, especially if Bitcoin will continue to go up in value, especially as it's going up in value versus fiat dollars. So if we are continuing to see inflation that's happening with fiat currency, it's probably better to pay with fiat, but not financial advice. Obviously, you can do whatever you so choose, but it is nice to see that other cities are looking into taking cryptocurrency and allowing blockchain assets as a way to take care of city funds. And not only has Detroit been a city that has been looking into accepting cryptocurrency, we also heard of Miami as well. I don't think they have gone ahead and moved forward with that just yet, but the state of Florida is also another state that is very heavily interested in building on blockchain and using the blockchain for various city and state services. So this is just the beginning. We see that demand is continuing to grow into Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. We believe that digital assets are the new wave. So continue to keep it locked here at Networkchain. We'll try to keep you posted as much as possible with all the news that's happening in the world of crypto. Once again, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate your support, and we'll be back here at the same time, same place next week. In the meantime, take care, and we look forward to linking up with you soon on the network chain. Bye-bye.